Have you ever noticed how some people will write you a 1,000-word text message but won't pick up the phone for a 30-second call? There's something strange about this. We live in an age where we can hear someone's voice instantly, across continents with perfect clarity. And yet, more and more people are choosing the silence of a screen over the warmth of a voice. It's not laziness, it's not rudeness, and it's definitely not because they don't care about you. So what's happening in the mind of someone who would rather type than talk? You see it everywhere. Your friend sends a detailed paragraph about their day but declines your call. Your partner texts, "We need to talk," and then keeps texting. You watch yourself do it too, staring at an incoming call, feeling your chest tighten, letting it go to voicemail, then immediately texting back, "Hey, sorry, can't talk right now. What's up?" But here's the thing, you can talk right now. You're just choosing not to. And before you judge yourself for it, before you dismiss it as some generational quirk or social anxiety, let me tell you, the psychology behind this runs deeper than you think. Here's what's really happening. When you prefer texting over calling, you're not avoiding communication. You're actually seeking a very specific type of communication. One where you have something that feels increasingly rare in modern life. Control. A phone call is chaos. It's unpredictable. Someone speaks, and you have milliseconds to process, feel, think, and respond. There's no backspace button for your tone of voice. No edit function for the words that just left your mouth. You can't preview how you'll sound before you commit to sounding that way. But a text gives you time. Time to craft the perfect response. Time to hide what you're really feeling. Time to become the version of yourself you wish you could be in real time. And this is where it gets interesting. Research in communication psychology shows that people who prefer texting often score higher in what's called cognitive complexity. They process information deeply, considering multiple angles before responding. Phone calls, with their demand for immediate response, feel like being rushed through a museum. Texting lets you stop and really look at each painting. But there's more. Neuroscientists have found that phone calls activate our mirror neurons more intensely than text-based communication. Mirror neurons are the parts of your brain that make you feel what the other person is feeling. When you hear someone's voice, the hesitation, the excitement, the underlying sadness they're trying to hide, you can't help but absorb it. For some people, that's beautiful. For others, it's overwhelming. If you've grown up feeling too much, if you're someone who's always been called too sensitive or too emotional, then a phone call isn't just a conversation, it's an invasion. Their joy becomes your joy, their anxiety becomes your anxiety, and suddenly you're not just managing your own emotional state. You're managing theirs too. Texting creates distance, and sometimes distance isn't coldness, it's self-preservation. But the truth is, there's something else hiding beneath all of this, something we don't talk about enough. Silence. Not the silence between words, but the silence you control. When you text, you decide when to respond. You're not trapped in the relentless rhythm of someone else's expectation. You can breathe. Think. Exist for a moment without performance. Phone calls demand presence. Total, undivided, immediate presence. And if you're someone who spent your whole life giving pieces of yourself away to parents who needed you to be strong, to friends who needed you to be funny, to partners who needed you to be okay, then maybe you're tired of being so immediately available. Texting says, "I'm here, but on my own terms." And maybe that's not avoidance. Maybe that's the first boundary you've ever successfully set. Here's what's fascinating. Attachment theory gives us another lens. People with anxious attachment often prefer texting because it gives them proof, tangible, rereadable proof that someone cares. You can screenshot a sweet message. You can't screenshot a phone call. People with avoidant attachment prefer texting too, but for the opposite reason. It maintains distance while still fulfilling the obligation of connection. You're talking, but you're not really there. And people with disorganized attachment, they're torn. They want the intimacy of a call, but fear the vulnerability. They want the safety of a text, but feel guilty about the distance. No matter your attachment style, texting offers something: control over your own nervous system. But here's where it gets complex. Because while texting protects you, it also isolates you. You miss the laughter that can't be captured in haha or lol. You miss the comfortable silences that build intimacy. You miss the spontaneous tangents that lead to the conversations you'll remember forever. You gain control, but you lose surprise. You gain safety, but you lose depth. And over time, you might find yourself becoming fluent in emojis, but forgetting how to hear the music in someone's voice, how to navigate the beautiful mess of real-time human connection. But listen, if you're someone who prefers texting, you don't need to change. You don't need to force yourself to become a phone person to prove you're capable of real connection. Your preference for texting doesn't make you broken. It makes you human who's learned, consciously or not, that protection matters. That your energy is finite. That you deserve to engage with the world in ways that don't leave you depleted. Maybe the question isn't, why do I prefer texting? But rather, What am I protecting, and is it still serving me? Because sometimes your preference for texting is wisdom. It's knowing your limits. It's honoring your need for processing time in a world that demands instant everything. But sometimes it's fear dressed up as preference. It's the belief that you're only lovable when you're edited, that your raw, real-time self isn't enough. So here's what I want you to know. You don't have to choose between connection and self-preservation. You can text when you need to, and you can call when you're ready. The people who truly matter will meet you where you are. They'll understand that sometimes love looks like a perfectly crafted paragraph sent at 2 a.m., and sometimes it looks like a messy, meandering phone call where neither of you says anything particularly profound, but you both hang up feeling less alone. Your way of connecting isn't wrong. It's just yours. And maybe that's the real message. In a world obsessed with immediacy, choosing your own pace isn't avoidance. It's actually the bravest form of presence there is.